Welcome to my channel. I'm a Central Texas gardener in Zone 8B, and today I wanted to share with you my Hottober tour. So it's the middle of October, but here in Central Texas, the high is going to be 93 degrees today. And so I wanted to share where I landed after that brutal summer of almost 3 months of triple-digit heat and water restrictions. You can kind of see where I started by watching previous videos, but I hope you guys enjoy it. So starting here, I have got a Spartan juniper, and then I've got 1, 2, 3 little gem boxwoods. You can see this one has got a little heat stress here. I have a Mexican bush sage here, and a black-eyed Susan or rudbeckia here, an autumn sage, and then a heatwave salvia. And these have really just started to blossom again in the cooler temps and after some rain. And this Mexican bush sage, it does bloom in the spring and in the fall, and it's supposed to be an evergreen. Might freeze back in really cold winters, but this is my first season with this type of plant. Here I've got 1, 2, 3 pink skullcaps that I just put in, so they're a little scraggly, but I think they'll fill out nicely in the spring. It's a crepe myrtle. It's struggling with aphids, so with the cooler temps and rain also came the aphids, and so I need to get out here with some neem oil. I have a Mexican oregano here. It gets about 4 by 4 feet from what I understand, but can get a lot larger. Back here I have a sunshine ligustrum that's kind of been struggling, but I just let him ride. Along the front here, you'll see I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 dwarf yaupon hollies, and these two get about 4 by 4 feet, and they're Texas natives. Along the back, I did transplant 2 Gauras or Gauras. I'm not really sure how to say it. I was worried they wouldn't make it because they have pretty long tap roots, and as I understand it, sometimes they don't take transplants well, but they are making it, and they're towards the back because they are pretty tall, probably about 5 feet with those flower spikes at times. Here I have a Zexmenia and Texas lantana, Greg's mistflower here, another crepe myrtle. Here I have a fall aster, and this is it shows off for a few weeks and then it's pretty much done, but they're so pretty. Here I have a Esperanza, and this gets about 5 by 6 feet in height and spread. I have a crossvine here, and I've currently got it crawling along or climbing along my wall, and I've got it secured with a brick clip, and it's mostly kept it in place, but to be honest, I think I'm gonna have to come up with another setup, because as this gets heavier and things, it will not stay on that wall. So I think I've did purchase a wall anchor and wire system to see if I can get that to work. Here I have a San Antonio rose Texas sage, and then you can see if you watched my fall replacement part 1 video, I had placed these Blackfoot daisies in, and they've really filled out just in a few weeks here. And then along the back here I've got 3 autumn sages, and they are blooming here, and so very pretty, lots of color. I've got a chrysanthemum and a pyramidal boxwood here, another one there. Here I think this is called a penstemon. I had a tick seed, a Broad Street tick seed like that over here, but I didn't make it through the Texas summer. This one is blooming and budding, but really the blooms are not very full, and so I think it might have some sort of disease where it's not, those buds or those blooms are not fully developing. And so if you're aware of what that could be, let me know. And I have another chrysanthemum here, and this was in a planter last fall, and then I kept it alive in my greenhouse, and then planted it in the spring. And then on repeat I have those Blackfoot daisies again, and then 3 more of those autumn sages. And these they look a little twiggy, but here in the spring I'll probably prune them down to about 6 inches or so to get them to be a bit fuller. Here's a Gulf Muhly. It's not really doing its purple plume thing just yet, but the ones in my backyard are. And then I've got a golden unimus or euonymus. I'm not sure how to say that. Not a native, but really a nice bright pop of color there just with the foliage. And then here I have a flame acanthus. This is the orange variety. And then I have another Texas sage. This one is called Green Cloud. And then here is a flame acanthus, but this is the red variety. Here on the forefront, I have these Dianella, and those have done really well. A little bit of, you can see a little heat stress on some of them, but they really made it through the summer without a lot of issue. Here I have 3 Angelonia, and they kind of showed off for the past, they've been showing off for the past 3 or 4 weeks, but the blooms are starting to go away. I don't know if it's just getting too cold for them. But what I want to do instead is I'm getting ready to put down some bluebonnet seeds here along this front part. And I understand that you've got to really prep those seeds to get them to germinate. So wish me luck on that. Here, and here I've got more dwarf yaupon hollies, and this one's pretty well established, but this one was a transplant from the spring. I had him over here and then moved him over here, and you can kind of tell he struggled because it's pretty sparse in terms of foliage, but it made it. And so if you want to transplant your shrubs, consider doing it in fall. I think they probably just fare better. This one also looks a little worse for the wear. It was recently transplanted about a week or 2 ago from my backyard, and he's struggling a little bit, but I've been watering him pretty regularly, and so I think he'll do okay. And then here is a creeping Wedelia. It's kind of like that Zexmenia, it's just a creeping version, and so you can kind of see it's got these little yellow flowers here, and so that should fill in this area nicely. So, and then here, I don't hardly talk about this. This is not a native, it's a Nelly R Stevens holly, and these are typically quite dense, but I've pruned mine so that you can kind of see the form and flow of the trunks, and so I really like how it came out. It has done very well through our Texas summer. You can see just a little bit of heat stress on some of those leaves, but for the most part really didn't bat an eye at this heat. And so that is the front yard. All right, so in the backyard you can see I've got a little bougainvillea here. It's doing pretty decent. It's nothing huge, but he's okay. Recent replacement Mexican oregano. I've got a couple of chili patines or pekins, I'm not sure what they're called, but they are pretty shabby, but they're alive, and so I'll probably trim those down a bit and we'll give them another go in the spring, let them see how they do. I have a camellia here, and then I have these Turk's caps. You can see how big they've gotten if you've watched previous videos. They've gotten pretty big pretty quick despite all that heat, so really a good performer. Here is a whale's tongue agave, and it just is so pretty, but it is very pokey. So I don't know if you guys can see that there. You want to make sure you don't put that somewhere where you have to walk next to it, or where it might hurt somebody, but really pretty. Here I've got 1, 2, 3 right skullcaps, and you can see this one's pretty bare in terms of flowers. It gets a little bit less sun than, let's say, this one, which has got more flowers. As I understand it, these are evergreen. I wonder how they'll do if we have a very cold winter. They might freeze down, but I suspect they'll pop back up, no problem. Here is a Zexmenia. It was a recent replacement. Just to kind of give you a little context, I have another Zexmenia right here, and so that has done really well through the summer, and pollinators really seem to be happy with it. So I said, let's put that that on repeat. And then here I have I think it's called a Bellini crepe myrtle. It's a dwarf crepe myrtle, about 3 by 3 feet. Have had a problem, I don't know if you can tell, I've had a problem with aphids and whiteflies recently, so I've been out here with the neem oil every 5 to 7 days in the evenings, trying to get that under control. I've got another camellia here and a crossvine here, and so this crossvine, you can kind of see it secured by a couple of brick clips here and here, but really it's so heavy, and for whatever reason this corner gets a lot of wind, and so it just won't stay up. And I've got a sort of a wire and wall anchor system I think I'm going to put along here, just because I don't want an actual trellis there. Maybe the wire and anchor system will look a little bit more camouflaged, I suppose. So that's my plan for that, because you can just see it's just flopping over. So here I have a bicolor iris. There's my very noisy fountain, which the birds love. So sometimes it sounds very serene and tranquil, and then as it starts getting emptier, it sounds maybe like somebody's using the bathroom. So I need to put some more water in it. Got a Texas lantana here, and then of course we had to add a nice fall mum. Another Texas lantana. My hope is that these lantana will kind of fill in this area eventually, so I figured I could put something in a pot there until that occurred. I have a red yucca right there, and then I've got my little gem magnolia, and so it's a dwarf magnolia. Still gets pretty big from what I understand, but maybe more like 15 to 20 feet instead of like 30 to 40 feet. So coming around here I have an autumn sage, and this has been on top of granite all summer long, and it didn't do much until the temperatures dropped and we got a bit of rain. Got some rosemary here. I've got just another yucca. This one's a blue century yucca in the pot, and then I've got a Mexican bush sage in the background, and then I've got a Texas rock rose, and this thing has just taken off. And you know, I just can't seem to get my plant spacing right. I really have tried to work harder at that, but look at this. I didn't expect this rock rose to just spread like that. Maybe it's kind of in the shade a little bit here, so maybe it just got a little leggy because of that, and so it's just reaching for the sun. But you can see all of those buds, and so it's really been showing off the last few days to about a week. Got some zinnia here. I only had 3 plants, but they've just sort of taken over this spot, and that's fine by me. Here is my desert willow, and I had to kind of rig it up a little bit. I don't know if you can see that. So it's water skiing right now. But this was sort of, it had a really heavy branch that I had to remove right here, and it was kind of really starting to lean this way, and so we've got it staked, so that and we'll probably leave that way for about a year or so, and hopefully that'll help it not lean or fall over. So there's that, and then I have another Mexican bush sage, and then I have a liriope here, and this one seemed to fare okay. I had a bunch sort of over here that did not do well, and so I've removed those, but I left this one because it did okay. I have a pink skullcap here that I just put in, and then this is a Texas kidney wood, and so you can kind of smell like sweet almond verbena. You can see the blooms there, and the bees really seem to enjoy that. I've got 2 of those now. I've got one there, and then I've actually got one there, and that's just that new garden bed I just put in. Here is that flame acanthus, but this is the orange one. I'm not sure what cultivar, what the name of this cultivar is, but it's pretty happy. It was looking a little rough, but still doing okay. Still even flowering through that summer, but you could definitely see all the brown, and now it's just really taken off. And so I have another rock rose here, but this one is red. And so I just got him in a little 4-inch pot and put him here in the forefront, and we'll see how he does. This is a seagreen juniper, and these can get fairly large. I kind of wanted to fill in this back space here with some sort of evergreen. I believe these get 4 to 6 feet in height and spread. Here I have got a Texas lantana. And then here is my Texas redbud. Doing pretty good. You can kind of see it's got a little heat damage, but looking substantially better than my eastern redbud, also known as a forest pansy. And you can kind of see this. I believe this is all just sort of heat stress. I think this is really meant to be more of an understory plant. And so in the summer, it sometimes looks a little worse for the wear, but seems to really get through it without an issue, besides some of the leaf discoloration. And then here I've just got those yaupon hollies, dwarf yaupon hollies. I've got a dahlia here, which really didn't do much for me, but it didn't die. So how about that? So it kind of sort of went down a little bit, and then it kind of came back. So it's there. And then I've got some Maximilian sunflowers back here that really didn't do much, but I just put that in, one plant in spring, and so it's kind of shady back here, so we'll see what happens next year. And then another dwarf yaupon holly there. Here's a mum I had in a planter last year, but saved in my greenhouse, put it in this spring. And this is a mealy blue sage, or mealy cup sage. And then I've got another dwarf yaupon holly here. I've got another type of Esperanza, but this one has got red flowers instead of the yellow. And then I have another sea green juniper, another mealy blue sage, and then here and here and here I've got, and then another one there, I've got autumn sages. And this, so those have, these autumn sages, I'm telling you, those are workhorses in a Texas garden if you let them be. As I understand it, they are evergreen. I'm sure in a hard freeze they'll probably die down a bit, but they flower, they last through the whole year potentially, with, you know, give you interest all year long. So really, and pretty minimal water requirements once established. So definitely, if you're really struggling but you want a little color in your garden, definitely consider these natives. And autumn sage is a really great option. It gets about 3 by 3 feet, sometimes a little bit bigger, and they come in like pink, red, and white, I believe. And so here is some Mexican marigold mint. I believe these are like yellow flowering plants. In the fall they flower. Haven't seen much yet, but I just put them in a couple weeks ago. These are the pink skullcaps that I've recently put in. This is another Gaura or Gaura, sort of flowering again since the temperatures have dropped and we had a little rain. And another yaupon holly, and another mealy sage. And so I will tell you, this is another one that has been a total superstar through the summer. Not only did it make it through the summer, but it flowered all summer. And so along with that autumn sage, you know, if you're looking for another great workhorse, this would be it. And it's not evergreen, but it comes back pretty quick once spring hits. And so this was so tiny in the spring. If you've watched previous videos, you can really see the progression of these mealy sages. And so really happy with this. I've got a couple cat mints here that haven't died off. I've just kind of let them ride, but they've looked scrappy all year. So, but I'm just letting them go there. And then another chrysanthemum. And then I have another Turk's cap here. This is an area that gets sun, but also a lot of shade, and these can really perform just fine in either of those conditions. And so it gets about 4 to 6 feet in height and spread, and so I've given it hopefully plenty of room. We'll see how it goes, because this guy's always trying to, it seems like it's always encroaching on things around it. So, but I don't mind. I really would love for this area to be nice and filled in. So here I've got 3 Spartan junipers, and these are not native, but they seem to have really done so well in this area. You got to be careful because these don't like a lot of water, and I think we tend to kill them with kindness. These are probably, definitely, if you're looking to install trees, do it in the fall. That's the best time, so they can really get their roots established. That way you're not putting them in the summer and then overwatering them, and then they're struggling with the heat stress and transplant stress. So these are great. I've been very happy with mine. Here I've got perennial boxwoods kind of scattered with sunshine ligustrum, and these ligustrum are sterile, so they're non-invasive. They're not native, but they're non-invasive, and you can kind of see that around here. And the more light they get, the brighter yellow they get. Here I have a sedge, that Cherokee sedge, that I transplanted from another garden bed here. It's a little shadier. And then here is my Japanese maple, and it's in the northeast side of my house, but it gets a lot of sun, I guess, in the afternoon. It kind of peeks over this area, and so you can see it's looking a little Texas fried here, but it made it, and so it's kind of going through the school of hard knocks, but it's still with us, so we're keeping it around. All right, and then here is my new garden bed. You can kind of see it. Lots of small plants, pretty sparse, but listen, we all know I have spacing issues, so I on purpose measured out hopefully enough space. Here's another Texas kidneywood. Here's a Gulf Muhly. I've got 2 purple cone flowers, another lantana here, and then I have 1, 2, and then 3, 4 autumn sages, and so they're, I think, all red. You can kind of see that one here. He's blooming. Another Gaura right there, and then I've got the pink skullcap, 1, 2, 3, and then I have a Greg's mistflower here, and then I have 3 mealy blue sages there. I did add this, I think it's called a golden ball lead tree. It's a lot of words, and so I sometimes have a tendency to mix them up. But I put this in about a month ago, and it's doing, I think, pretty good. Lots of new growth, but you can kind of see some falling leaves, so maybe a little bit of transplant shock. So hopefully we do well. These are not huge fans of wet feet, so I heavily amended my soil with a lot of expanded shale, probably almost like a 40% shale to 60% surrounding soil situation, and so we'll see how that does. And there is one of these golden ball lead trees in the Lady Bird Johnson Wildflower Center that's just stunning, and so it inspired me. Hopefully this will do well. And then here you can see that Gulf Muhly in its sort of its glory here. This is what they do in October typically. You can see those beautiful pink purple plumes there, and so very, very pretty. Here I've got 1, 2, and then 3. This one's looking pretty rough. Will it make it? I don't know. I'm gonna attempt to say it. I think it's Dominiata. I don't know but how to say it, but these are pretty drought tolerant plants that have yellow flowers, and so we'll see. Sometimes these things don't do well, but that root system remains, and in the spring they can really make a comeback, so I'm gonna leave it. All right, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed the tour, and y'all take care.